I used to think love was paying the bills. I thought presence was coming home tired. I thought silence meant understanding. But one day, I looked at the empty dinner table, at the cold bedroom, and I realized something that destroyed me inside. I had given everything, except what truly mattered. Stay with me until the end of this video, because if you still have a wife, if you still have children, maybe it's not too late for you. Before we continue, I ask you one simple thing. If this story touches you on any level, subscribe to the channel now. Here, we talk about choices, regrets, faith, family, and second chances, the things that truly matter in life. And more importantly, stay until the end, because what I learned too late might save what you still have. This isn't a story about a bad man. It's about an ordinary man, hard-working, responsible, proud of never letting anything be lacking at home, except himself. For years, I followed the manual the world handed to me. Work hard, provide, don't complain, don't falter, be the pillar of the family. I woke up early, came back late, and carried in my heart the certainty that I was doing my part. My wife never lacked for anything. My children had clothes, school, food on the table. And in my head, that was love. When my wife said she missed me, I would reply, "I'm doing this for you guys." When my kids asked me to play, I'd say, "Later, Daddy is tired." I sincerely believed that one day they would understand, that one day they would thank me. The problem is that time doesn't wait for understanding. It simply passes. And while I was building a career, I was dismantling, without realizing it, what I was supposed to protect. She stopped questioning me, stopped complaining, and I thought everything was fine. Silence felt like peace. But it wasn't. She no longer needed to get my attention. She simply stopped expecting anything from me. It wasn't anger, nor lack of interest. It was resignation. It was the exhaustion of a man who claimed to be present, but was only physically there. The days passed the same, and I stayed on autopilot, thinking my invisible presence was enough. I didn't notice the small changes, the vacant look when I arrived, the dull smile I mistook for calmness, the absence of questions about my day. While I was building my career, planning trips, dreaming of promotions and bonuses, she was drifting away, step by step, almost without me noticing. The worst part, I thought everything was fine. I interpreted silence as understanding, and I understood too late that her silence was a scream of loneliness. She no longer had to fight to keep me close. She simply stopped waiting. And when I finally noticed, I felt the void I had created myself. A silence that could no longer be filled. I was there, every day, physically, but I wasn't. My children grew up, and I didn't notice. The small things went unobserved. The first victory at school. The first disappointment with a friend. The first broken heart that needed a hug. I thought physical presence was real presence. But sitting at the table is no substitute for listening, for participating, for feeling. They learned to get by on their own. To include me only when it was convenient. To seek attention elsewhere. And I, proud of having provided everything materially, didn't realize I was letting the essential slip away. Connection. Some nights, I'd see them sleeping and think, I taught them everything, right? No. I taught them how to live without me. What hurts the most isn't the distance I can cross. It's realizing that I could have been there, and I wasn't. The time I thought I was gaining through work and achievements, I was losing to a silent absence that cannot be recovered. And then I realized, wealth doesn't fill emotional gaps. Presence, attention, care, those do. And I had lost it all without even noticing. Work became my refuge. There, I was needed. There, my decisions were important. There, my effort was recognized. At home, none of that happened. The fatigue, the small complaints, the empty stares, It all reminded me of what I didn't want to face. That my family truly needed me. So I hid in the office, in spreadsheets, in reports, in meetings. There, I had control. There, I could feel pride. Meanwhile, the house, which should have been a place of love and laughter, became a cold space. Words stopped being said, hugs were rare, conversations were minimal. I told myself, I'm doing the best I can. But what I was actually doing was running away. Fleeing from the responsibility of truly being present. The worst part. My emotional absence became almost invisible. She didn't complain, the kids didn't demand, and I thought everything was fine. That I was being the husband and father my family needed. But I wasn't. Work fulfilled me, but it couldn't fill the gap I had created. The void was at home, growing silently, and I only noticed too late. It wasn't a dramatic day. There were no screams or slamming doors. Nothing like the movies. It was quiet. Subtle. She simply stopped waiting. She no longer looked for me with her eyes. She didn't wait for my words, my advice, my attention. She didn't count on me anymore. And I, blinded by routine, kept believing everything was fine. She had tried so many times, silently. And I interpreted every attempt as all good. Every dull smile, every interrupted conversation, every ignored request. It all became part of my invisible world. Then came the day she said, I learned to live without you, even while being married. That sentence destroyed me. There was no blame in her eyes, only acceptance. And that hurt more than any fight, any argument. I realized that love needs presence. That money and material care do not replace attention, affection, listening. I had given everything material, but nothing of the essential. And when I finally noticed what should have been there, the warmth, the embrace, the connection, no longer existed. In that moment, I knew her silence was a warning I didn't hear, and that some mistakes cannot be fixed later. The house was full of furniture, old photos, memories of happy times. But there was a silence that hurt more than any scream. I walked through the hallways and felt the void between every wall. The laughter of my children? It rarely echoed in the living room. My wife's smile? Faded, distant, almost absent. And even so, I kept thinking everything was fine. I thought my physical presence was enough to sustain the illusion of a happy family. Dinner was on the table, bills were paid, clothes were clean. The essential. It was completely missing. It was strange. People lived all around me, but the feeling was one of absolute loneliness. I could hear the sound of the television, the car in the garage, quick footsteps in the hallway. And yet, no one looked for me. No one needed me. Or perhaps, no one wanted me anymore. I realized my whole life had been built on appearances. I provided everything materially, but the essence was lost. The love, the attention, the presence, it all slipped through my fingers. And the cruelest part, I realized it too late. While I was busy trying to be successful, I was letting my family drift away silently. And that full house was proof that emptiness can exist even among those we love most. Money doesn't buy love. Money doesn't buy attention. Money doesn't pay for lost moments. I thought I could fix everything with achievements, bonuses, and trips. I thought material effort was worth more than being present. And while I looked at the bank statement with pride, I didn't see the true deficit of my life, my emotional absence. The bills were paid, plans were made, gifts were bought. But no one needed them. They needed me. I took pride in being a good provider. Without realizing, I was a terrible presence for my own family. Every day I spent away, every conversation I didn't have, every hug I failed to give, was an invisible debt growing silently. And this debt doesn't show up on charts or reports. There is no balance high enough to recover lost time. There is no bonus to remedy absence. When I finally realized it, it was too late. The small things I ignored, a child's smile, a wife's request for attention, the need to simply be there, became impossible to get back. And I learned the hard way that the biggest mistake a man can make is not financial, but emotional. It's believing that providing is enough, when what truly sustains life are moments, attention, and love. The moment of truth arrived in silence. No explosion, no dramatic argument. The truth revealed itself in a simple look. She told me, calmly, I had to learn to live without you, while being married. It was like a punch to the chest. There was no anger, just raw reality. Each word carried years of silence, distance, and emotional absence. I tried to respond, tried to explain, but words were of no use anymore. It was late. Too late for apologies, too late for justifications, too late for promises. I realized that everything I had built, money, house, comfort, success, meant nothing without connection. What matters is feeling, listening, being present, truly loving. I looked at my children and saw the same pattern. They no longer needed me, rather, they learned not to need me. And I, who believed I had given everything, realized I hadn't given what mattered most. It was in that moment I understood. Regret isn't just a pain. It's a silent lesson that screams loud inside of us. If you can still act, do it now. If you can still listen, hug, hear, speak, don't wait to lose it to realize what truly matters. Because life doesn't wait. And emotional absence has no way back. If I could go back in time, I would do everything differently. I wouldn't buy more things. I wouldn't work more meaningless hours. I would sit at the table every day. I would play, talk, and hug without rushing. I would have turned off my phone. I would have listened without interrupting. I would have learned that simple moments are worth more than giant achievements. I would have paid attention to the details that seemed small. My daughter's laughter while telling a secret. My son's frustration with a friend. My wife's tired look asking for a silent hug. I would have understood that providing isn't loving. That financial success doesn't replace emotional presence. That every day lost never comes back. And, above all, I would have stopped believing that silence was peace. Silence was a warning. Silence was distance. Silence was the end approaching without fanfare. I learned too late that real life happens in the invisible moments. In gestures, in conversations, in hugs, in shared laughter. And that money, status, or achievements cannot buy that. If you still have someone waiting for you, don't wait for silence to speak for them. Don't wait for absence to be permanent. Don't wait until it's too late. This is the warning life gave me, and one I want you to never ignore. If you still have someone waiting for you, don't wait to lose them to realize it. Don't wait for silence to become a scream, nor for drifting away to become irreversible distance. Time is cruel, and life passes too fast. I had years to act, and I chose the wrong path. I believed that by providing everything materially, I was fulfilling my role. I believed that coming home tired was enough. I believed that my silence and my work would be understood as love. But what I learned, too late, is that love requires presence. Love requires attention. Love requires listening, understanding, and being there. Without that, even the greatest wealth in the world doesn't fill the void. If you can still change, do it now. Turn off your phone for a few hours. Sit at the table, even if it's just to talk. Hug for no reason, listen without interrupting, smile with those who are still waiting for you. Don't wait for time to teach you the pain you can avoid today. Every lost moment is a moment that doesn't return. Every hug you fail to give is a space that someone will fill alone. If you still have someone who matters, this is your moment to truly be there. Don't postpone it. Don't wait. If this story touched you, do not ignore the warning it brings. Life doesn't wait. Silence doesn't warn twice. Regret doesn't go back. If you can still act, do it now. Look into your wife's eyes. Talk to your children. Show attention, care, love, not just provision. If you are here, it's because you want to learn before it's too late. So subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. Stories like this can save lives, families, and hearts. Stay until the end of every video, absorb every lesson, and turn it into action. And now, I want you to leave in the comments, what am I going to do today to truly be present? Share your decision, inspire others, and together let's create a space where love and presence are worth more than any wealth. Remember, it's not about money, nor status. It's about moments, smiles, hugs, conversations that transform lives. What you do today can change the future of your family. I failed, but you can still get it right. Don't wait for the silence. Don't wait for the distance. Act now, be present, and make every moment count.